welcome to today's episode of Talk and Roll. Today we have out of Dallas, Texas, Chloe Clemente herself. I've discovered you because this is how I find everybody
hmm
on Instagram when I shouldn't be. Um,
I
and
mean, that's the place, isn't
oh,
it? Like,
100% for
it's fine.
music. Yeah. And you reminded me of very much of that like late 80s, early 90s pop rock that I
That's,
and
yes, that's what I'm going for.
yeah. So tell us about yourself.
Oh my goodness. Well, my name is Chloe Clemente. I'm based out of Dallas, Texas, but I was actually a California original. I grew up there. I moved when I was about 16 over to Dallas, and yeah, I was in a local band back in California for a while. That's how I got my start. I've been singing in rock bands and just cover bands and making original music since I was 14. Before that, I started vocal lessons at 9 with Billy Purnell. He's trained Tori Kelly, Keke Palmer, Lauren Gray, a bunch of different amazing vocalists. So yeah, Tori Kelly was just here last night. I almost got tickets, but I missed it. So yeah, just whole thing. But yeah, so I've been pretty involved in music for about 13 years and been singing professionally, and only recently, it's going to be 2 years now that I've been releasing original music this coming spring. So I'm pretty excited. All of my influences are artists that I grew up with. So like my favorite band is Guns N' Roses. That's my favorite. I also love Journey. I love AC/DC. I play a lot of their songs in my set because, like I said, I started out in a cover band.
Heck yeah.
It's one and the same for me. I'm like, people like it. We're here. It's fine. So I really just try my best to bring that 80s sound that people are kind of like, we have Chapel Roan nowadays, which is amazing. Like, I feel like that's opened up a lot of doors for artists like me who really love the nostalgia of that time and didn't get to live it. So, yeah, because my generation absolutely loves that entire aesthetic of it and just like, just the funness of it. Because for me, rock and roll is as much emotion as it is fun.
Yeah.
The songs have meaning,
Yep.
but it's not all about death and it's not all about like just destruction and like,
Oh yeah.
like that's my thing. I like a balance and I have a lot of contrast in my songs. Like, for instance, my first original, it was just about me breaking out and being like, I'm not just going to join a band again because I've been in several bands. I think a lot of musicians can relate to joining a band and then putting in all this effort and then having it completely taken away because one of the band members gets in a fight with the other one and like just a bunch of BS happens,
Oh yes.
So I finally was like, okay, I'm gonna try writing on my own. I'm gonna learn some instruments. This is when I first moved to Dallas, actually. So I thank my parents for that. I was 16, like I said.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Graduated early and immediately went to college. I'm now graduated. I graduated in 2022. And I have a commercial music associates. So basically, just I do my best to be well-rounded. I love audio engineering. I love, just being involved in music any way I can. I do vocal coaching. But yeah, I'm just involved. So that's pretty much me. So there's a lot we could talk about.
Heck yeah. Well, it's pretty cool that you get into engineering and stuff like that because a lot of people, you know, it's singers. I sing. You know, I'm a guitar player. I play guitar. You get the guitar player singer, and then occasionally you get the people like, oh, I play guitar and bass. And when you find somebody who gets well-rounded, who goes out, studies music, learns, like you said, you're a vocal coach now, and that's crazy that you're able to, okay, you parlayed a career in music into music, and it's the
Yes.
more music than just I'm the singer, but I also do A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
Um,
My brain just kind of works like that. I like learning new things. Like I always tell my students, I'm like, listen, and I hate the feeling too, but you're gonna feel really dumb before you start to feel smart.
mhm.
Always put yourself in situations where you can learn. Always put yourself into situations where you can also help others. Like me, I'm not the best audio engineer in the world. I can figure
Yeah.
stuff out, but yeah, like I just did my first set last night as a karaoke DJ just because I could and they needed somebody, you know? But I figured it out because I had that knowledge. The reason I got into audio engineering even is because while I was in a band in California, it just irritated me that I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Like, with the whole like ducking and like, what was going on stage and like I just felt like I was in the way of the audio engineers. I'm like, oh man, I feel like a dumb singer. I need to learn. So finally did that and stuff. But I mean, looking back, I'm like, it was my job to sing. Like, what did I expect? So yeah. Anyway, we've gotten past that. I like to teach my students like, hey, this is microphone etiquette. Like, this is how you talk into the microphone. Don't point it towards the monitor. Just avoiding certain things because it matters. It matters.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, that and you never want your mic turned down. Like you always want to be able to hear yourself. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to know what was going on. And, of course, with recording too, that helps too. And, that way I just really felt in my element, like at all times. So, or
Well,
most of the time, I thrive in chaos. What can I say?
oh yeah. Well, the good thing is that you're educating yourself. You're learning. You're teaching others while you're learning too. And you know, I don't want to get in most businesses, music, probably more than about any other, maybe outside of movies, a lot of shady people.
No,
And
there are. Well, okay. You want to know my reasoning for, I think it's because music is art.
yeah,
When you have art and when you have emotion, you have vulnerability.
yep,
And there are a lot of people looking to take advantage of that vulnerability, unfortunately. And you got to know how to protect yourself. But yeah,
yeah,
go on. That's
yeah.
my
Well,
thought process. I'm
and
like,
and
that's
the
why.
fact that you're educating yourself and now educating others,
Yeah,
you are getting them prepared so they will not be exploited. They won't, you won't have the sound engineer who's feeding you a line of stuff, crap, to basically, just take your money. And you're stepping up, and that's a great step for anybody in the music industry. Period. What especially a woman in music, you're going to
thank
have the shadiness that pops up because you're going to have the guys that are like, oh, this woman don't know what she's talking, and it's and this comes from a guy, and my wife is one of the smartest women I know,
love it.
and she's helped me, and like when I've had to go away, she'll like has stepped into my business, and people will like, and she's like, no, I'm educated, I know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
And people will still, her dad was a mechanic, so she knows about cars, so she can't be played.
That's awesome.
And it's nice to see you taking that education you have and teaching it to others. And it's
Yeah,
amazing.
well,
I love that.
especially because a lot of my students are young.
Oh yeah.
And like, I hate the stigma of like, of course, being a woman and stuff in the industry and all that.
Yeah.
It's like, honestly, now that I'm more educated, now that I've like, people can tell, thank
Oh yeah.
goodness. And they're like, oh, you know, like the disappointment's there, and then they're like, okay, fine. And then I fixed everything, and I'm like, okay, we're good, we're good. But yeah, and then there's some scenarios you can't save it. It's that whole saying of you can't argue with stupid, so you might
Yep.
as well just do your best. Like I've had shows where the audio engineer isn't like they're not where I would like them to be,
Yep.
But I tell my bandmates, there was one moment, or can I cuss on here?
Yeah, you
Just
can
this
cuss.
is
Yeah.
verbatim. This is verbatim what she looked at me because I love my bandmates and stuff. They're absolutely amazing. They help me, with everything pretty much as far as
Oh
like
yeah.
show goes. I have three dudes in my band, two girls. One of them happens to be my best friend, Mandy. We were at a show and we were all up there. And I was just kind of sitting there like this because I always tell my students and I tell all the people like around me, that are in the industry, never let it show that you're mad or you're upset, on stage and stuff, just calm, exude. But my best friend can tell when I'm gonna explode. But I just looked around because I just knew the audio engineer wasn't, things were happening,
Hmm.
Um, and I was like, because we were just not going to be able to hear ourselves. It sounded good. It sounded good for the audience. That's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
At that point, I was just like, And then she looks at me, and then they all kind of look at me, and they're like, "Are you good?" And then she goes, "She's pissed." And I started dying. But that show, we played completely fine. Like, there's videos of it. We sound great. And then we got tons of compliments after, it's the situation could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
Like, I could have let that completely just like, you know, I, but I always tell people, I'm like, you have to keep the vibe going. It
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
matter the situation that you're in. You're not going to be able to stop bad situations. You just have to take that situation and be happy and do your best.
Oh yeah.
You can always take a bad situation and make it kind of better.
It's funny because you say that. I've seen, and you can almost tell experience over, people who are still maybe have some experience but are still early. I saw Lita Ford a couple years ago, and she was up there and she was singing, and the mic went out. So
Oh,
they run her out another mic, and it's not the sound's garbage, but she's still singing, she's still playing, and
yep.
they're running out. She does not stop. She does not argue with
No, you
anybody.
never stop.
She keeps playing, and she keeps going, and then finally, boom, it hits. And because you have X amount of time, because
Mhm.
the 10, 11 o'clock, at least here in Ohio, it's 11 o'clock, done. You got to
Yep.
be done. And so she's playing her ass off, and they're running out mics trying to fix everything. And then all of a sudden, it's like, it's good. It kicks in, and she's like, it continues.
Something was muted.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it was like the group, it was probably like one of the groups, like they probably had a thing on all the mics and then
Hmm.
that it was just muted. That's my theory. It was in the ducking. It's funny that you mentioned that story because at that same gig I was talking about, my wireless mic ran out of batteries and I literally walked off stage during the guitar solo, handed it to the audio engineer, ran back with another one, and
Yeah.
I had to do it myself. I was up there changing the batteries out. Meanwhile, I'm using the backup mic. So sometimes things are going to be a mess, but hey, at least we have a story.
Oh, yeah. Those are the best ones when you have a good story and it doesn't end horribly. But then sometimes you
Seriously.
get some of the horrible ones, and they have the greatest stories.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but now the other way, I've seen the Dorothy. You know who Dorothy is? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
We saw her in this place, and literally the sound guy. I don't know what his fascination was with the bass, but he had the bass
Oh,
cranked way up,
no.
so everything was a brrr,
He was deaf.
brrr, 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 it was this, and she's like, turn down the bass, please, and turn down the bass, and she kept playing, and then finally, it's like three songs in, she's like, turn down the damn bass, and she turns the, and then pretty soon, bass drops, she continues, but it was. She tried not to break, not to break, not to break, and then all of a sudden it's just
Sometimes you just
snap.
gotta lay down the law and tell it how it is. Because
Oh yeah,
ultimately, especially, I mean, the crowd doesn't want that.
no,
Like,
no,
I mean, ultimately, it's like, okay, what does the venue want?
mm-hmm.
It's like who's the boss in this situation? You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Like ultimately, yeah, you're the artist, but also putting ego aside, what does the venue want? What does the audience want? Because it may not be the same thing sometimes, and that's where you have issues.
Oh yeah. It
So yeah.
and it's so funny. I've recently became friends with a sound engineer guy,
Hmm.
and he comes in my shop, and we
Hmm.
talk, and he's like, "Oh man, I had the best night ever." He goes, "I just tweaked here all night. That's all I did, little tweaks. It was like I could walk
Yeah.
away from everything." And he's so proud when he has those days where he's like, "Yep." He goes, "It was almost a no touch night," and he goes, "I had it. I had it. I had three bands, and it was almost."
You had it set.
Yes, and
That's
he's
awesome.
and and that's another thing about finding a good sound person, if you can find it and you can get them. But some venues, you just get the venue sound guy. So
Well, and I mean, there's not really like a regulation for it either. You know what I mean?
mm-mm.
Like you just especially with it's hard to tell like whether or not a person can do sound unless you've seen it happen.
Hmm.
So yeah, I do my best to educate at least like the musicians that I
Oh
have and
yeah,
everything and like oh, something I want to talk about like with my students and everything. They're
yeah,
so young and like I also hate the stigma of like my generation and below. I'm Generation Z.
yeah.
I'm 23. All my students below me, you would think that they only listen to like pop music. They listen to everything.
Yep.
All of them like to be, kind of not, maybe not all of them, some of them are just like, they want to learn singing. They're not that serious about it. It's like, they just want to express themselves. And
Yeah.
that's the reason too. I'm chilling, but a lot of them, they're like, I want to be my own artist. I'm like, okay, in order to make that happen, one, you need to understand not everybody's going to care. And you need to surround yourself with people who do care,
Yep.
who will lift you up, who will, be like that. But also, when you are around the people who don't care, stay strong.
Yep.
Like, just be like, no, I do this. This is what I do. There's a lot of things you can do with music. And, I still get that nowadays. It's like, oh, is there an age where you're going to stop? I'm like, no, I have too much experience in this that, like, I don't think you understand. Like, the hours I've put into,
Oh
like,
yeah.
learning all these different things. Like,
Y-
no, I'll just die.
Oh yeah. I've had that explanation too. Everybody goes, when do you think you're gonna? I was like, I'm so far into this now. There's
We're too
no way
deep.
I could walk away from it anymore. Yeah.
We're way
And
too deep in it. It's done.
yeah,
Nah.
you are a singer till the day you die.
Yeah, I mean, I just love it so much. And like what people don't understand a lot of the time, especially like, with artists, it's like there's that whole emotion behind it. Me,
Hmm.
I write my songs and I really like a lot of my songs are because like I had an issue and I wanted to figure it out. There's
Yeah.
nothing more euphoric than like finishing a song, like me finishing a song and it's about something that I went through and like,
Hmm.
different paths in life. So it's like it's not just like finishing a song for me. It's like I've finished a thought, I've finished a processing, of some sort. Like
Yeah, it's very cathartic. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like first song, was about me breaking out and finally, I'm a nice person. I'd like to think. I was people pleasing all the time and, that's a huge word nowadays. And I just realized I looked around me and I'm like, there are other people that are exactly like me who are getting taken advantage of, and I don't like that.
Oh no.
So I wrote it about kind of breaking out, and it's kind of like, in my generation, they say like their villain era, basically, where they like kind of just stop, people pleasing and like doing all that. So that's what Angels Cry is about. The chorus is, and this is where people get confused too. They think it's about like wanting to like die, which is hilarious to me. And, the whole meaning of the song is, not denying yourself your purpose in life and not, holding back because of other people's thoughts and opinions, So it's, I don't want to live where the angels cry. I lost at love because my demons decide, because my demons decide what's right.
Yeah.
Demons being like, and I just used it in a negative, sense because, I'm more so talking about like the little voices in your head, like,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you need to be out there, you need to be doing stuff. So yeah, I am a Christian stuff, but like that song, it had to happen.
Oh, yeah. You got to have those, whether it's your own voice or positive people in your life
Yes,
to basically. I am. This is gonna tell you, I'm old. My kids are anywhere from 14 to 32,
love it.
and my son, my 14-year-old son, he has autism and he loves music. I bought him a drum kit. He's got an electric drum kit. Now
Beautiful.
he wants a real one, so I have to buy him a real one.
Of course.
And
You did that
then
to
like,
yourself. I'm sorry.
yeah, I'm like, oh, bud, I could at least turn the volume
No.
down on the electric ones. My now 25-year-old son, he wanted for Christmas, he's like, I want a guitar. And I'm like, what do you want?
Oh,
And he goes, I want a off-white Strat with the white pick guard and stuff like that. So a good friend of mine works in a music store and he also refurbishes guitars. So I get a
beautiful.
hold of him. I get the exact guitar he wants. And I got him, and I go, okay, here's what we got, bud. And I show him I think I had 5 guitars. I go, they're all Strats. And he goes, he can change the pick guards. He has different pick guards and everything. So he picked out the ones. I got the pick guards for him. So he has his off-white Strat with the white pick guard. And he's like, he goes, I don't know. I'm like, dude, I don't care. You want this. This is what you want. This is what I'm getting you.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. And now he fiddles with it. He's not real good at it, but he fiddles with it. So
Hey, that's where
yeah.
I'm at.
Yep.
It makes him happy. In
Yep.
fact, I got something to show you because, like, this is my dream guitar, and I got it off of Facebook Marketplace. So I got a red one.
Ah.
So it's funny you say that. Here,
That's what
let me take the filter off that we can really see this. I ain't got mess over here or anything. Just,
no,
the
dude,
waves look
wait a
better.
minute. I don't even bother with it anymore. I have all this nonsensical crap behind me.
Yeah, so like this is my guitar.
Nice.
It's red. My favorite color is red,
Hell yeah.
as you can tell. But yeah, just
Sweet.
I'm not the best in the world. I know chords. I use my instruments to write.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, at heart, I am a vocalist. Eventually, I'd like to really like get to where I can shred and stuff. And
Yeah.
like I know my one of my mentors is Matthew Johnson. Um he was the guitarist for Great White. Um yeah, back in the day and stuff.
Okay.
And he's just absolute role model to me. He's amazing. So I've been taking a little bit of lessons from him. I'm like, dude, let's do this.
Heck yeah.
And then he made me realize I was holding the pick wrong too. He's like, Chloe, I don't know how you're doing this, but you're in time. But you're holding this completely wrong. And it's not like, basically, I was like holding it like this, or like something like, I was holding it like this when I should have been like,
Yeah.
anyway. So, anyway, try new things, but I'm so happy for your son. Guitar is so fun. I always tell my students, I'm like, if you're going to learn any instruments, you want to accompany yourself, either learn guitar or piano. Piano has been like my strong suit, I would say, just because
Hmm.
in college, you had to learn music theory. That's what they wanted you to learn,
Yeah.
So I went that direction. My left hand needs work, and I use it for vocal coaching, but it's fine. We're all learning. I'm gonna
Oh
feel
yeah.
where I can be smart and stuff, and I can keep up, so that's nice. But yeah, as I was saying, but like I always tell them, I'm like, if you're gonna do guitar, the learning curve is gonna be these calluses. So make sure you get past that level. Eventually, everything will click. You're gonna be fine.
Yep.
And yeah, I still need to grow mine back. They're
Oh, I played bass, and I've over the years these two fingers have gone numb, so I don't have a lot of feeling in them anymore.
all right. Well, there you
Yeah.
go. You're good.
But I'm sitting there because I can play a little bit, and every once in a while I bust out my bass, which is buried over here, and I'll and then my son he's like no you my youngest he goes you pick you I'm like but I'm playing Motorhead, so I need the strum. And he's like
They're
so,
like, Dad, no.
no, and he's like no, and he comes over and puts his hand on it. He goes no, do this, and I'm like no, I gotta do this.
Yeah, see, I just got into teaching my dad vocals because he's been asking for years. And then recently he just started complaining. He's like, yeah, I can't sing this song because my daughter doesn't teach me. I'm like, dude. So anyway, now he's all happy. I gave him his first lesson last week. And just to see his face, my thing when teaching, I'm like, oh man, I love when people light up and stuff. But seeing his face when he was trying to do something, he was like, oh, this is harder. And he has a great voice. But like, just I think he got a little bit more perspective of like what I do.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's nice.
Well, you got you. It's all about the because I went from playing in bands when I was a kid and stuff like that, even in my young adulthood, and then I took time off and I haven't sang in years.
No,
And I went to sing one day and I'm like, oh my God, I sound horrible. What?
no.
And mind you, I've never had the best voice, but I could do a lot of old like Black Sabbath. I could do some
Dude.
the one I could kill it at, ironically enough, is I could really do good Faith No More, Mike Patton era. And I could just nail it. And I went to sing it a while back and I'm like, oh wow, I am out of practice. I need to learn.
I mean, if you don't use it, you'll lose
No,
it,
you do.
you know. And
That's
I mean,
why.
there's bad habits too. Like I
Mhm.
have my bad habits. Me, sometimes I push a little hard and I strain, and I'm like, no. But yeah. Well, if you want a vocal coach, you got one.
There
You
you
just let me
go.
know.
Good,
I do
good.
online lessons and stuff.
Heck
But yeah, just I mean, shoot, music is just so fun though. I mean, like no matter like how into certain parts of it you are, it's like there's just so much you can do, you
Yeah.
know? And it's like I have a love-hate relationship with the fact that it's not really a linear industry in in the way you can climb.
Hmm.
But it does function like other industries in the fact you have to network,
Yep.
you have to meet people, you know. A lot of people go in and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so alone," and like there's competition and there's this, there's that. I'm like, "Dude, no. There's no it doesn't work like that. Like you have to network, you have to make friends, you absolutely need to support one another."
Hmm.
I think like there's something that came out recently. It was how Stevie Nicks was, she had a conversation with Katy Perry.
Hmm.
And like, I love both of them. They're amazing, right?
Yeah.
And I grew up with both of them. And, you know, I've been recently seeing a lot of Stevie Nicks. So I was like, ooh, what'd she say? You know? Katy Perry apparently was talking about like, ooh, I have this rival and I have that rival. And then Stevie Nicks was, and then she's like, she asked Stevie, she goes, who are your rivals? And then Stevie was like, I don't have any rivals. I have friends.
Lindsey
So,
Buckingham. I mean,
see, that's different. That's a mortal enemy.
oh my, that is still. I have to point that out to so many people. I go
Dude.
the moment go find the concert. I think it's I
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking
and
about. It's
you can
Silver
see him.
Springs.
You can see him playing, and he's just like, "If you don't love me now, you will
Yeah.
never." And he's just
Oh wait,
looking.
no, that's Go Your Own Way.
Yeah, but
No, no, the chain. The
yeah, the
chain.
chain. Yeah,
The
and
chain.
he's just
Sorry.
watching her, and she's got her back turned to him the whole entire time,
Yeah.
just playing the tambourine and singing, and he just
That's why you don't date your band members.
and and
Like,
and
that's crazy.
oh, it's so and we have the discussion. It goes, do you think Fleetwood Mac would have been any good had it not been for all the drama?
Honestly, no.
No, no.
Like, I'm sorry, but I'm glad it happened because we got some great songs out of it. We had an amazing album. Anytime I'm trying to get somebody into music history, I'm like, hey, you heard what happened with Fleetwood Mac? Because it's all drama,
Oh
you
yeah.
know? And then it's like you go down the rabbit hole and like you slowly figure out that all of these bands had so much drama.
Oh,
Me,
100%.
I'm kind of a dramatic person, but like not in that sort of way. Like I don't like tension. I don't like fighting. I like hearing about stuff. I'm like, ooh, that's interesting, you know?
Yeah.
I'm half Mexican. I like chisme. You know, it's like I like to go in there. I'm like, that's okay, that's interesting, you know?
Oh yeah.
But music, like I said, music is about emotion. There's people
Oh.
who are going to capitalize on that. And when you're that vulnerable, things are going to happen. It just
Hmm.
matters how you handle it and stuff. And, you know, you can only pray at that point that things work out. But I mean, oh my gosh, the whole Fleetwood Mac drama is like my favorite subject, I would say. And like, especially like that video. And then the reason I said Silver Springs is just because, have you seen that one live?
Maybe I've seen a
He
lot of
does
that.
the same thing to him, and oh my gosh, like it gives me chills every single time. And like I've played that video on repeat. It's like the raw emotion in there, and like you know they have the live version. They were recording it. Luckily, I'm like I'm so glad that we have this. But apparently she couldn't perform that song specifically for like 20 years or something. I'm like this is crazy. But yeah, so I'm all up in there.
Well, what's really good was I took my wife to go see Stevie Nicks recently,
Oh, I want to go so bad.
and I'm an old school metalhead, but I also love Fleetwood Mac and whatnot. But she comes out and she plays, and the final thing she does is Landslide, and she does
Oh,
it for um why am I drawing a blank? The keyboard player.
shoot.
You're doing the same thing. Um, Christine McVie.
Yes, yes.
She does that, and she just sing, and you're just like, my wife's just sitting there, just tears rolling down her face.
Me.
Well, and I tried to be the good husband, and she's like, oh man, Stevie Nicks is going to be, and it's down in Kentucky, and I'm like, all right, so I got her tickets, and
That's so
she's
cool.
got problems with heights, so I'm like, oh my god, we're in these seats that you like look down, but they're real good seats.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, she's not. And she's like, the whole entire time she's holding
Me.
my hand. And then Stevie Nicks comes out, and you can just see the she just relaxes
Yeah.
and all of the anxiety goes away. And I'm
You
like,
get used to it. It distracts you completely. You're
yep,
fine.
oh yeah. So
Oh man, if I die anywhere, it'd be at a Stevie Nicks concert. Let me tell you that. Like, or I actually, you know what? I had the same thing going on at a Guns N' Roses concert. Like, I'm just like, and it's only as I've gotten older too, because like when I was like 10, I was like, man, I want to go jump out of an airplane. That sounds so much fun. Now I'm like, if I have to jump like 3 feet, I'm like, I can't do it. Can't do it. No,
well,
get me out of there.
it's that early you before you hit like a certain age, you think you're completely indestructible and immortal, and then all of a sudden you get that realization of like, oh, I could go in any
Ooh.
moment.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, I want to release X amount of songs before I die. I want to play this, like, not even this amount of, I don't know how many shows I played at this point. I probably should have kept track at some point, but I don't know. But yeah, just, I was like, wait, I'm not ready. No, no, my new release isn't out yet. Like, I need to at least release that. Don't take me now. All the things that go through my head as I'm looking down there. But yeah, oh my gosh. Oh, that's awesome though. I'm so happy for y'all. That's
Thank you.
yeah. One of my ex-boyfriend's moms posted, and I was like, dude! And she's like, dude! It's that whole meme of like women, Stevie Nicks.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't matter how bad it is or how much you dislike somebody. You're like, oh, you're both at Stevie Nicks. You're like,
Yeah. Nah, she's chill. I love her.
yeah. What? Well, you got one up on me. You've got to see Guns N' Roses. I've never gotten to see Guns N' Roses.
Dude.
I legit had tickets to see them in 1991 when they toured
Dude.
Metallica and couldn't go.
Nah.
And it was one of the ones I was senior in high school,
Hmm.
and I had made a deal with my mom at the time that if I went to any concerts, I had to go to school and work that day, the next
Mm.
day.
Yeah.
And that was back when Guns N' Roses wouldn't take the stage till like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and they were finishing up shows when the sun was coming up. And I was like, I can't do it. And my friends were like, well, I was like, I'll go see Metallica and I can leave if I'm, Guns N' Roses. And I'm like, but I'm riding with my friends who have the tickets. And so I had to not go.
Dang.
I've never seen Metallica, never seen Guns N' Roses.
Dang.
I've seen almost every other band I've ever wanted to see, but not
It's
those.
good parenting, but at what cost?
Oh yeah.
But
But
at what cost?
but I did get to see Ozzy Osbourne on his farewell tour the first time
Oh,
around.
the first time.
The No
I
More
love
Tours
when they
tour in
psych us out like that.
1994.
Like,
Yeah.
this is the last time. No, it isn't.
No, it isn't. It's
Apparently,
like
Cyndi Lauper's doing a farewell tour. I'm for sure going to be at that. I missed
yeah,
Elton John. I missed Aerosmith, which is also one of my favorite bands. I'm like, uh, but
see,
also like those notes are so high. I
oh
get it.
yeah. I got lucky a few years back, 5 years ago, so it was right before the pandemic. Um Steven Tyler was on a solo tour, and I couldn't go, but I made sure my wife had tickets.
Oh,
And so she went and seen him, and she was front row right there.
oh
She
my
got pictures of
God.
her, and she's like, this girl's like causing problems. And I guess Tina turned around, looked at her, goes, bitch, if you cost me this show, I will knock you out.
Me, me.
Yes. And she's got to see her big band is Aerosmith. She loves Stevie Nicks. And so I've made sure that she's got to see
Nah, we would get along great.
uh,
We'd
so
be fine.
she's oh my god. She's and the funny part about it is the older we get, the
Hmm.
more open to music we are. So you know how they always say once you get to a certain age, you're like, no, your music's I'm like, I'm 50. I just turned 50. And I was like, I listen to more music now than I ever did at any
Well,
point.
I think you get to the point like where you've just heard so like especially because things can get overplayed now.
Yeah. Oh,
You know?
100%. Yes.
So you get like for me, I like to find certain things and like I'll like latch on to an artist. Like right now, my big one, it ain't even rock and roll. It's Lana Del Rey. And like I didn't get it for a while, but then all of a sudden it clicked. I was like, I get it. It's nice, it's chill, we're fine.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think just it's a lot healthier to listen to a lot of different things, or
Hmm.
at least like different artists in the same genre.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yep.
that's where I'm at. I don't know. I think that the industry is changing. A lot of people think it's continuing to go in the gutter. Me, I have nothing but hope. I'm like, something's going to work out. It's, you know, it'll be fine
I think
eventually.
right now is with the amount of bands that I'm currently listening to and the amount of shows I'm able to go to, I think music is doing really well.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, no one came around here touring.
Hmm.
Music was kind of stagnant. And now I mean, my music collection gets bigger and bigger like almost every week with, different artists. I mean, literally, if you look, there's albums back here
I love it.
and there's Wu Fat and which is stoner metal, and then next to that is uh oh man, I will butcher the name, Anmarath. Uh
And
yeah.
I gotcha.
And,
Yes.
and then but there's also geez, there's music soundtracks,
Love it.
there's musical scores, there's
Yeah.
synthwave, there's Iron Maiden, there's Metallica, but it's all in that in
I
music.
love it. And I mean, I hate to say it, but like honestly, I think that the whole COVID thing, like I think it made people appreciate like being able to go to concerts,
Oh yeah.
because everybody was inside, they have their little area. And then, from there, I think when you're alone and when you like, are forced, unfortunately, to be in that situation, you figure out what your interests are really freaking quickly.
Oh
Like
yeah.
if you're not being influenced by outside sources, I think like I hate that I hate that it happened, but like I think that it did reset the whole music industry and like, I think it made people a lot hungrier as well to
Oh yeah.
like, oh my God, I need to do this. And then it also got a lot of people to sit down and be like, I want to learn guitar, So
Hmm.
now we have all these people from COVID that learned who are just here.
Yep.
They're like, okay, I'm going to start this. I'm going to start this podcast. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So I think that there was like a whole like event that happened there,
Oh yeah.
that now we've,
Well,
come out of as a society. And like I'm so glad that, we're having all these different festivals. And I mean, what do you call it? Not so what, that's a good one in Dallas and stuff, but Warped Tour, it's back.
yeah,
So
that's
that's
crazy. Yep.
amazing. I have tickets to that. I'm not missing that for the world. My cousin texted me. She goes, "Hey, do you want to go to Warped Tour with me in Long Beach?" So I'm gonna be there.
Heck yeah.
I'm submitting my stuff, of course, as a musician. Hopefully, I can get on one of the shows. But it's like I'm gonna be there regardless, guys.
Yeah. Hey, I have friends that made it to Warped Tour, so if you have, you can make it. So, but it is, and I've noticed something. We with doing this show, I've seen how many people basically formed bands and wrote music during the pandemic,
Yeah,
and then as soon as it was over, they were touring.
I love
And
it.
I've talked to ones that they went from basically forming the band and then doing getting music out, and then next thing you know, they're touring Europe, and
Dude,
before they even do
that's my
America.
goal.
And I'm like, how the hell do you tour Europe before America, man? I was like,
Well, they like us out there.
oh yeah.
We're appreciated.
Oh wow.
Like the rock music. Oh my gosh. See, yeah, that's my next goal. I'm like, I want to tour Europe. I want to, cause like, like I said, all my bandmates, I absolutely adore. Like they're just awesome. They're good people, and eventually, I just would love to just do an European tour, whatever comes first. Like, I was thinking of like, cause I do my own booking and stuff. Fortunately and unfortunately, I am my own management. I have mentors and stuff. Like I work with this one lady, her name is Brianna Rellis. She helps a lot of different Dallas artists. But I pretty much just I'm doing my own stuff. Right now I'm looking for a manager slash like booking agents, stuff like that, because I've developed enough money. I'm like, okay, who can I entrust? But also I don't like people touching my stuff. So like that's a whole other issue, you know?
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm hoping, I'm praying, and I am trying to put the steps in order to like get to that level where I'm touring. I was gonna say, like, I think just a lot of bands and a lot of artists do need to give themselves the time to develop. And, that whole year of COVID where they're writing music and like, or a couple years, give or
Yeah.
take, where they got to develop, like that's absolutely amazing. And I mean, in COVID, we were all posting on social media, all of that, and you find your interest pretty quickly at that point.
Oh yeah.
So I think just, my advice always for like the new artists that I coach and everything, I'm like, just give yourself time, figure out what you want to put out, and know that you're not going to appeal to everybody.
Yep.
Like there are a lot of people who kind of like my music, but they're like, like they're gonna go somewhere else. It's the same thing as liking certain food. I don't take any offense to it. I'm like, okay, that sounds good.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think we're at a great place right now, and like, there are gonna be people who are like, it's terrible. Like me, I hate the streaming stuff. We need to go back to downloads. We need to, I'd like to make more money off of the music that I have out. That would be amazing. I think that it's definitely corrupt, if that makes sense.
Oh
And,
yeah.
just there needs to be something, people need to be held accountable there. I like that music is accessible. I think that SoundCloud should still exist for the people who are like, okay, just download it. I don't care.
Hmm.
And then there should be, you know, not streaming services, but like go back to like actually buying music
Oh yeah.
because it's just, and yeah, if people want it for free, they're gonna find a way.
Yeah, they'll find it free no matter
The
what.
general public, they're just gonna want to pay the dollar. you know, they're just gonna want to do that. I, as a society, yeah, I do kind of think that we've gotten a little bit dumber due to cell phones. I'm gonna be honest. So the chances are people aren't gonna, go out of their way to, steal something. So yeah, I don't know. That's where I'm at. That's where my head's at. I'm like, there's pros and cons to everything, but we're here.
Yeah. Well, you talk about that. I go to a lot of shows. I try to go whenever I can. And right now I've been hitting about two concerts a month if I'm lucky. But I always try to buy a shirt and usually an album if they don't have an album, a CD.
hmm
Um, except for the last one I went to. I shouldn't say that, but I'm going to pick up one off their website because I just don't want to drag the album around with me that day.
Well, there
Um,
you go.
but literally, anytime I go to a concert, one of my favorite bands is Clutch. I will go see Clutch every time they come around. And every time they come around, I buy a new T-shirt. I
Like,
usually
yo,
buy the record. I buy something. And people need to go back to that. Go back to, supporting the local bands, supporting the band, even if, go on Bandcamp and go buy, because a lot of them have their CDs for like $5 if
yeah,
you buy it, and I'm like, hell yeah, go buy CDs, go do this, go do that. But and you're right, because I have a couple friends. I have one friend who does okay on streaming, and he's had a band that's been around for a while. But I've talked to other people, and they're like, dude, we're hitting like big numbers, and we're getting checks for like $8.
that's
Or
what I'm saying.
yeah,
It's like you need to have like a bunch of material out, and then finally I'm getting checks for like 30. That's nice.
yeah,
I'm like, okay, we're up there. That's nice, but it could be so much more. And,
definitely.
that's awesome that you're getting t-shirts and stuff. And like, I love people when they do actually like want, and they have to want like a piece of the artist,
Yep.
That's what, like I recently saw, there's this dude that's going around Dallas and LA and like, just touring and stuff. His name is Demi the Daredevil. He's absolutely amazing. Great artist, very kind person. People wanted to get his t-shirts because, they're buying you
Yeah,
basically. And, he's so kind on stage. His whole thing is like mental health and like making sure you're taking care of yourself and like, just his journey on, that his mental health
yeah,
journey,
yeah, yeah.
So that's his niche and like that's his, thing. And a lot of people, they do struggle with that. So he's tapping a lot into that audience and like giving people kind of a safe space to like really go in and just be happy. But yeah, I think like especially as a developing artist, me, I want to stick with that rock and roll vibe. I'm like, okay, Everybody in here, we got issues.
100.
But we're gonna have fun regardless. It's all good. We're
Yep.
gonna be okay. The world could go up in flames right now. We can't really control that. Let's just vibe.
Oh
That's
man.
my thing.
So I got to get back to this because now we're going to get to some questions here.
Yes, yes, I got you.
Okay. So influences.
Okay.
Yeah. Who are your influences? Who got you
Hold
into
up.
rock? But we're still like in the 70s and it's November.
Oh yeah, that was us today, and it rained.
Yeah.
So
And now
yeah,
my eyes, like if you ever see me, I'm like doing this because my eyes are a little bit watery.
yeah. I've been doing Zyrtec every single day. I went to an allergist finally. I was like, dude, I can't do this. Like in my voice, I was like, this is not gonna be good. I'm putting in all this work, and then finally, I had a show where I just went up there and I couldn't even sing.
Ooh.
It was so embarrassing. It was so bad. Luckily, there weren't a lot of people there, but also it was. I think it was the last time I did a pay to play. Just because of that, I was like, no, we're not doing this anymore. I'm not losing money on another gig. But
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, influences. Let's go back to
Yes.
that. I'm
Yes.
sorry. Obviously, Guns N' Roses is a big one. You can see that a lot in the contrast of my
Yep.
songs. I have a lot of poppy ones where it's like, okay, that definitely sounds like Journey. you know.
Hmm.
But you can see it in kind of the contrast that I have going and like my yeah, I would say top three influences, that would be Guns N' Roses, it would be Journey, and it would be Paramore. I really like Paramore and, a little bit of Evanescence in there. Just
Yeah.
I get a little dark. I like to use my head voice a little bit more, I have fun. But yeah, those are it and little Aerosmith, of course, for the choruses and everything. But yeah, just think 80s rock and a little bit modern stuff. I like taking everything that 80s rock has, but then modernizing it in the way that it's formatted. So like I keep like unless it's like good to have like an extra long guitar solo, I'll like shorten it. I'm like, okay, just for people's attention spans, that sort of thing. So like you'll see like where I have different like pop influences and then different, traditional rock
Yeah.
influences. So yeah. And I hate to use the word traditional with rock. That doesn't make sense to me. In my brain, I'm like, ugh, ew. But that's pretty much what it is.
Yep.
But yeah, those are my influences. I have a great time and I play a lot of those bands, their songs on stage. So yeah.
And how did you get started? You said you were back being a little kid getting into
Oh
doing.
yeah. Oh yeah. So I go every time when I see Guns N' Roses, I've seen them like 6 times, right?
Hmm.
I go with my mother. She is the one who's influenced me the most with my music taste. All the bands that I just mentioned, I grew up listening to in the car. Finally, when I was like 10, and there's a moment for everybody when they kind of know.
Yeah.
I got into singing and stuff. They kind of noticed I had a voice because, oh, how I truly like got into singing itself was my
Yeah.
dad, actually. He was in the military. He's a retired colonel now, which is amazing.
Yep.
He came home from the Philippines from, stationed there with a karaoke machine. They do a ton of karaoke out there, which I absolutely love. And I got started singing when I was like 3. So pretty much I was kind of singing more than talking at that point, I could, and, I ran before I could walk as well. Apparently I just started running. And I feel like that really attests to my personality. So yeah. But I got my influence from my mom, and then I would say I got my voice from my dad. He's an incredible singer as well. He grew up with choir. That's the extent of his vocal training, but like, he's a great singer. A lot of Michael Bublé, a lot of Harbor Lights by Boss Cags. Boss Cags. He does a lot of those songs, and yeah, he's a little bit slower, just a little more vibey. And then there's me on the other side. He's like, okay, that's good job. But yeah, they're very supportive. I'm very thankful for my family and stuff. But yeah, I had been singing for a while, and then I finally got vocal lessons at 9, and then I auditioned to be in a band with the company that I actually work for now. They're called Rock Stars of Tomorrow. They're awesome, and they finally opened up a location out here. That's a whole other story, but I was already here. It was kind of fate. Beautiful, right?
Heck yeah.
But I had auditioned and then I had gotten on a real stage. It wasn't just at a karaoke place, it was with a real band. And I remember just like it clicked, if that makes sense. Like, I was just like, I even just stood there. Like, I just kind of stood there and sang. I didn't do anything, I didn't like come alive or anything, but like, I got off and like, my mom attests to this. I said, I could do this every day, like every day. And before that, I listened to a lot of Guns N' Roses. I was just always fascinated with how Axl would run across the stage and like, it's just fun to watch, and I grew up with Hannah Montana, so I also had that influence. I do credit a lot of that. I'm like, I could be a rock star, like I could do that. So that's ultimately, what led to me making that decision. I didn't end up getting into that audition, but another band saw me audition for that specific program and they were like, we want her to be our singer. We have an album out. My best friend I have two best friends, three technically. She left the band a little bit, before the band broke up and everything in California. But Lizzie is the bass player, Matt is the guitarist, and Josh is the drummer, right? They were brothers, or they are brothers, geez, not were. They're brothers, and they're awesome. Matt's actually in the Navy now. I'm gonna be writing him a letter about this, like, right after we get off the phone. But oh my gosh, I'm very grateful for the journey and everything. And that was my first band to where like I was attempting to write music and like I was kind of shy, I was coming out of my shell. But that was like, I feel like everybody has their first project or like, something that they're like, this is the start,
Yeah.
But we had an album out. It's called Struck by Lightning. So we released that in 2017, and it got streams and everything. We ended up actually getting a record deal, actually no, it was a distribution deal. It was under a company that was under Sony,
Hmm.
which was pretty cool. That was like a
Yeah.
big thing for
Heck
us. And
yeah.
then, unfortunately, and this happens often, our band broke up. The guitarist and drummer, Matt and Josh, their parents got divorced, and then my dad got relocated to Dallas, Texas. So unfortunately, fate was like, and then I was in Dallas. I was depressed for like a year because, I grew up with
Really?
them. That was like my entire teens. I was in that band for like 4 years. My best friends, I was like, I'm in a whole new state. I'm like lonely. I'm like, what do I do? Joined a couple other bands, that didn't work out, but I decided to go to college, and that's where my brain really decided like I need to learn stuff.
Hmm.
So music theory, audio engineering, all of that. But I mean, it all came from the pain of losing that band. But I mean, where I'm at now, I wouldn't change a thing. I'm incredibly happy. I get to influence other artists daily, which is amazing. I love all my students, and I'm glad that I get to influence them and stuff. And yeah, I'm just continuing to pursue being an artist. And, my favorite place still is, in fact, being on stage. So there you go.
All right. Now there's the big question. We
Oh,
love to call this horror stories.
ah!
Horror stories from the road. Do you have a horror story from the road?
Oh my gosh. I feel like I have so many. Oh, okay. Actually, I have a pretty recent one. It's not totally a horror story, but like it was pretty funny. Gosh, I should have thought about this before, but this works. This works. So I had a show pretty recently, and we were getting the drum set out, right? We're setting up. This is for a festival. It was a music festival and everything.
Yeah.
I'll think of the name. Was it the West Main? I think it was the West Main Arts Festival. I played a few different festivals this year. I'm sorry. Not to brag.
Yeah.
Not to brag. I worked hard on getting those festivals though. My
Heck
goal was
yeah.
three. I played like six. I'm happy.
Hell yeah.
But we were there. We were unloading the drum set. My drummer Terrence looks at me and goes, "Chloe, I forgot the snare. I forgot the snare drum." And then I just go, I'm like, okay, looks like we're gonna go make some friends. So then I went to two different stages because one of them was an acoustic band, and I was like, they don't have a drummer. It was just some like a, singer-songwriter and stuff. And then we ended up at another stage. A band called Stoneheart was playing. I told them I'd promote them. They're awesome. You can find them on TikTok. They're called Stoneheart. Go follow them. And I went up, and luckily their set was ending, and then we had like 15 minutes, or like it was like half hour in between and stuff, because we always come early. That's why you come early.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, so I'm in a little bit of a pickle right now. Do you guys mind if we use one of your snare drums? Or do you mind if we borrow a snare drum from y'all? And they were like, oh yeah, of course. And then the lead singer was like, dude, actually I brought my drum set today and we didn't end up using it. Like, I have a snare drum like right on task. This other band's gonna use this kit, but you can have one of those, for your set. And I'm like, dude, thank you. So yeah, and then we ran back to the other stage. Keep in mind, it was hot.
No.
Like, this was like bad. I sweat my eyelashes off. There's footage of that. Like, I'm not wearing falsies right now, but like it was like coming off. I was like, this ain't it, So it was crazy. That's just one of the many horror stories I have too. I mean, other time I was playing a gig and I almost had a bee sting me. So it landed on my arm, and I'm in the middle of singing Jane by Jefferson Starship.
Mm-hmm.
And I pick the bee off with my hand and I just throw it. Like, it just gets yeeted. So that's, I feel like every gig, there's always like a little bit of something that happens.
Yeah.
There was always something, but I mean, shoot, I told you the horror story earlier too, the microphones and like,
Yep.
just the sound and everything. But I mean, we figured it out. God had a plan, so I'm happy.
Heck yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll think of another one later, and I'll be like, oh my God, I should have told you about this one, but that's what I got for today.
That's for the next show. That's for the next show.
The next one. That's for the next one. Yes.
All right. Next question. Advice for up and coming singer songwriters or musicians.
Oh, man. It's my favorite question.
There you go.
Just be persistent, be consistent and persistent. That doesn't mean consistent, meaning you're doing a little bit of something every day, and, write out your goals. So like, I always stick to top 3. That's what my mentor has given me, top 3 like things that you're going to accomplish that week. What are your top 3 goals for the month? Like when I was first starting out, I remember a big one was create a website, So my goal for that month, one of them was create a website. And then every week I'd be like, okay, how do I operate this? How do I get this kind of squeaky clean and stuff? And I have a website now. It's beautiful. It's fine. It runs great. I learned how to do that. And yeah, just create goals, and don't beat yourself up, like you have to set realistic goals, and goals that can be done. Like, you should have something that can be done within the week, within the month, within a few months, like me, I thought I was going to release an album this year. That didn't happen. It's okay. I released some more songs and stuff, and honestly, like, albums aren't doing that well right now anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, but be persistent and consistent, and do your best to surround yourself with people who will lift you up and be encouraging and be happy for you when you do complete even the small goals. Because ultimately, a lot of this, you're going to be behind the scenes. You're not going to get a lot of attention. A lot of it's in silence. Nobody's going to be there being like, yeah, unless you got that one best friend that's like there. Like,
Yeah.
Mine is Mandy, So there you go. My bass player. She's awesome.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so that's my advice. Just stay happy, stay consistent, and it's not all sunshines and rainbows, unfortunately, but just do your best to surround yourself with people who will make even the worst situations just a little bit better,
Yep. All right. Last 2 questions. Where can people find you online?
I gotcha. So my name is Chloe Clemente again. Thank you, Paul, for having me. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Chloe Clemente Official and on TikTok at Chloe Clemente Official. And I also have a website, which I just talked about. It's chloeclemente.com. I don't know how I got that domain so easily, but I did. But yeah, you can find me there. I also have a YouTube channel, Chloe Clemente. And I believe I also have the username as Chloe Clemente Official. So everywhere pretty much except Twitter. I don't have a Twitter. I don't have that much to say. And yeah, that's what I got going. I post videos. I try to post videos once every day during the week, and then on weekends, I'm doing stuff. So there you go. You'll see it on my stories.
Heck yeah. And last question.
Yes.
Tour dates. Do you have any upcoming events?
See, I just got done doing like a bunch of different gigs. So for that, please subscribe to my email list. You can find that via the link in my bio and on my website. I do want to, we may be playing a festival at the start of the year, like in January. And then I'm working with also a charity called Melody of Hope. They're based out of Dallas. So I'm going to be having some shows with them as well. So you can support a good cause. They work with all sorts of organizations to supply musicians. So yeah. Yeah, I do love performing though. As I've said, like that's my goal. I want to be on stage for the rest of my life. So I will be hitting that stage pretty soon here.
Cool. All right. Well, I greatly appreciate you being on here today. This has been fun. Anytime you want to come back,
Dude,
you have any shows or you just want to talk and talk music, whatever,
heck
let me
yeah.
know. We'll have you back on the show. And if everything goes all right, this will drop Thursday night at 8 o'clock. So 7 o'clock your time.
Sounds great. Dude, I'm so happy that I got the chance to be on here. Thank you so much for having me,
You're
Paul.
welcome.
I'm going to be releasing another song at the end of the month, hopefully. So it's called Say It's Over. And if it's not at the end of this month, it'll be start of next. So I'm super excited. Maybe I can pop on and talk about that
Heck yeah.
next time.
Yeah.
So
Just
yeah.
pop in the messages and let me know. We'll get you on.
Hey,
So
it's me.
yep, heck yeah. So all right. Well, it's been a blast. You are a super fun guest.
Oh,
Uh,
thank
oh my
you.
God. You you are like you had your I mean, lack of better term, you had your shit together through the entire
Dude, yay, I love it when I have my shit together.
'cause some
That's
people are
like my
like,
favorite
what
thing.
they have to think about stuff and so I have to like edit. And the only thing I gotta edit is like you blowing your nose. That's it. That's all.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. I probably should have talked more about my songs and stuff, but like, I don't know, dude. Like, you want me for me? I'm like, I'm here.
Yeah. And that's for next show. We can talk about music on the next one.
Exactly.
Like I said, if
It
you
was
want to,
perfect.
yeah,
You're a great host as well. I loved all your questions, and I mean, the banter was perfect in my opinion. I had such a great time, and I mean,
that's right. It's funny because I do a couple other little projects I do on the side, so I might get a hold of you to help me with my voice. Uh,
dude,
I
yes,
actually have people like your voice is so soothing. I'm like, how is my voice soothing?
you do have a good voice for like, what you're doing, podcasts and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you have a good voice for that. So I don't imagine it would be, yeah.
yeah.
And I've been coaching for about 4 years now. I've been told I'm a great coach. I've had students that have gotten into their auditions,
Nice.
competitions, all of that. I have winners. I'm good. I promise. And yeah, I just like to see people succeed. So anything I could do to help you, that would be amazing.
Cool. I take us back. This is the last question. Can we put one of your songs at the end of this episode?
Oh my goodness. Okay. That's gonna be okay. It's a hard one because I just released a song called Look What You've Done to Me. It's a little bit slower, and I also have a song called This Time Love, which is just like a power ballad. I'm gonna send you both of them, and can you do like a whichever you like better?
Yeah, I can legit just put both of them on at the end of the episode if you want.
Hey,
I can.
you go for it because
Hey,
I
it's
love
my
both of
show. I
them.
can do whatever the hell I want.
That's true. That's true. Just I'm like, I hate to be this person, but also I love both songs and I do want to promote my most recent one, but also This Time Love is like every time I ask somebody like, "Hey, what's your favorite song?" like they'll go, "Oh man, I really like blank song, but I also love This Time Love."
Mhm.
So it's a hard hitter. I'm like, I
Yeah,
should throw it out there.
there you go. Yeah, I will definitely put those on there. And like I said, I'll just put both of them. Hell with it. Just
Perfect.
all right. Well, you have a good night, and you are
Oh,
kicking ass and taking
doing my
names,
best.
and keep it up because you have figured out the whole. You're figuring out because you're figuring out the whole online presence. You're out there busting your butt with the music. You're
Dude,
learning behind the scenes. I wish I was 23 again so I could learn more stuff, but
dude, I'm just doing my best. And I mean, like I said, I just want to be able to do this for the rest of my life. I don't know, I'm a kind of like, just if I'm not doing something, I also get anxious. So like that's,
oh,
that helps.
yeah,
I'm
100%. I
weaponizing my anxiety.
gotta
People need
stay
to do that
busy.
more.
Oh yeah. So, all right. Well, you have a good night, and
You too.
I
Thank you so
will
much.
drop you a message when this is ready to go. So,
Perfect.
all right. Well, I'm
Thanks so
going
much.
to end here.
The song came on the radio. I heard your voice again. I hear your name all over town. Guess that's how it's always been. It seems you're doing well, so it seems. But do you think of me now and then? Your photo pops up on my phone, and here I go again. Look what you've done to me. I'm thinking of you. My tears will never end. I'm dreaming of you. Just when I think I've got it all together, I'm falling apart again. Look what you've done to me. I'm thinking of you. Will my heart ever mend? I'm dreaming of you. I tell myself it never was forever, but here I go again. Look what you've done to me. I saw a face that looked like yours. I had to turn around again. It doesn't take too much these days to remind me when we left the days, we loved the nights. We used to party all night long. Then came the morning I woke up all alone. Baby, where did I go wrong? Look what you've done. My tears, they never end. Just when I think I've got myself together, I'm falling apart again. Look what you've done to me. Will my heart ever mend? I tell myself it never was forever, but here I go again. Look what you've done. Ooh, I never imagined you could be this way. Ooh, but I guess what doesn't shine just rusts away. Look what you've done. I'm thinking my tears will never end. Just when I think I've got it all together, I'm falling apart again. Look what you've done to me. I'm thinking my tears will never end. I tell myself this again. I hear your name all over town. Guess that's how it's always been. It seems you're doing well, so it seems. But do you think of me now and then? Your photo pops up on my phone, and here I go again. Look what you've done to me. I'm thinking of you. My tears will never end. I'm dreaming of you. Just when I think I've got it all together, I'm falling apart again. Look what you've done to me. I'm thinking of you. Will my heart ever mend? I'm dreaming of you. I tell myself it never was forever, but here I go again. Look what you've done to me. I saw a face that looked like yours. I had to turn around again. It doesn't take too much these days to remind me when we left the days, we loved the night. We used to party all night long. Then came the morning I woke up all alone. Baby, where did I go wrong? Look what you've done. My tears, they never end. Just when I think I've got myself together, I'm falling apart again. Look what you've done to me. Will my heart ever mend? I tell myself it never was forever, but here I go again. Look what you've done. Ooh, I never imagined you could be this way. Ooh, but I guess what doesn't shine just rusts away. Look what you've done. I'm thinking of you. My tears will never